Welcome back. Supreme Court has barred the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Accountant General of the Federation, and other agencies from releasing funds to the government of Rivers State until it purges itself for what the court describes as flagrant disobedience to court orders. In a 1 hour 36-minute judgment delivered by Justice Emmanuel Akomaye, the 5-man panel of the court unanimously dismissed the cross-appeal filed by Governor Siminalayi Fugbara challenging the validity of the House of Assembly, presided over by Martin Amewule as a speaker. In dismissing Governor Fugbara's appeal, the court ordered Martin Amewule to resume sitting immediately with other elected members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. The court held that it is an aberration for Governor Fugbara to have purportedly presented an approbation bill before a 4-man House of Assembly, thereby denying 28 constituencies of effective representation in flagrant violation of a court order mandating him, Fugbara, to represent the 2024 approbation bill before a validly constituted assembly led by Amewule. The apex court further held that the actions of Governor Fugbara over the alleged defection of 28 members of the Rivers State Assembly is an act of brigandage and dictatorship aimed at preventing the House from performing its legitimate functions under the speakership of Amewule. Local government election conducted on the 5th of October 2024 by the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission has been declared invalid by the Supreme Court. In a judgment delivered by Justice Jamilu Tuko, the court ordered the election invalid for grossly violating the Electoral Act. Reading the judgment, Justice Tuko said the action of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission is declared void for lack of substantial compliance to the Electoral Act and guidelines as the electoral body continued voter registration even after announcing an election date. The court held that proceedings leading to the conduct of a local government election were abridged in clear violation of Section 150 of the Electoral Act. Prior to the election, on September 30, 2024, the Federal High Court in Abuja had barred the Independent National Electoral Commission from releasing the voter register to the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission for the election. Additionally, the court prohibited the Inspector General of Police and the Department of State Services from providing security for the election. Justice Peter Alifu, in his ruling on a suit filed by the All Progressives Congress and argued by senior lawyers Justice Joseph Daudu, Sebastian and Ogu James Onaja, all sons, declared that RASIEC wrongly scheduled the October 5 election without complying with the required electoral laws. He noted that RASIEC failed to issue the mandatory 90-day notice before fixing the election date, violating local government laws, election laws. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Yesom Wike, says the Supreme Court has ended impunity in Rivers State. Wike stated this while reacting to the Apex Court's ruling on Friday, which nullified the recent local government elections in Rivers State and upheld the legitimacy of the 27-member Martin Amewule-led State Assembly. According to him, the decision of the highest court of the land has effectively ended the reign of impunity in Rivers State. The Federal Capital Territory Minister also blasted former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Governors Forum, Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed, accusing them of supporting lawlessness in the state. According to the minister, Governor Siminalayi Fugbara of Rivers State has no choice but to fully comply with the Supreme Court's verdict, stressing that it represents the final legal authority on the matter. ATN reports that the ruling marks a major development in the ongoing political crisis in Rivers State, reinforcing the authority of the Amewule-led assembly while nullifying the controversial local government elections. Independent National Electoral Commission said on Friday that it will not conduct any by-election into the Rivers State House of Assembly until the cases before the court is finalized. Reacting to the statement credited to Rivers State Governor accusing the Commission of selectively choosing and conducting by-elections into vacant positions, the Commission said while it is aware of the situation in Rivers State, it will not comment on it because it is sub judice. In a statement signed by the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Rotimi Onyekumi, the Commission appealed to people occupying high public offices to be circumspect in their public statements before they mislead the public and cast aspersion on public institutions. For the avoidance of doubts, the Commission has been joined in several suits filed by litigants at various courts, including the Supreme Court. Under the circumstances, the Commission must await the final judicial pronouncement on the matter before it embarks on a plural exercise that may eventually amount to a nullity and a waste of public funds. Of the Nigerian Navy Hospital in Eforon, Delta State. ATN gathered that this followed a petition from the family of the deceased, led by human rights activist Comrade Igorion Hunu Agogo, to the Chief of Naval Staff, dated 27th February 2025, requesting an urgent investigation into the matter. It was further gathered that the petition was duly acknowledged by the Office of the Chief of Naval Staff on February 27, 2025. The investigation will also look into the alleged involvement of the Nigerian Army in the matter, as well as reports of an illegal cemetery operating in Delta State, where the missing corpse may be buried. The family has expressed their trust in the Chief of Naval Staff to treat the matter with the seriousness it deserves and take prompt action to resolve the issue. Former Governor of Abia State, Theodore Orji, and 4 others were on Friday arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission before the Abia State High Court over alleged misappropriation of 47 billion. Former Director of Finance for Abia State, Romas Madu. They are facing 60 counts of conspiracy to steal and conversion of billions of naira meant for various government programs preferred against them by the EFCC. When the matter, which was before the Chief Judge of Abia State, Justice Lillian Abai, was called, the EFCC's lead prosecution counsel, Professor Kemi Pinheiro San, requested that the charge be read to the defendants to allow them to enter their pleas. The EFCC accused them of misappropriating 22.5 billion naira allocated for security votes from 2011 to 2015. They were also accused of allegedly stealing 30 billion naira from a loan facility granted by the defunct Diamond Bank. However, the defendants pleaded not guilty to the charges against them. The defense team, including Bode Ola Nipokun San, representing the first defendant, Chika Sulu Ojuku San, for the second defendant, K.I. Ole, Oke Amechi San, and Isaac Anya, filed bail applications on behalf of their clients. Pinheiro did not object to the bail applications. They asked the court to use its discretion when determining the conditions of bail. After a brief stand down, Justice Abai granted the defendants bail and adjourned till June 18 and 19, 2025 for trial. Nigeria's Civil Aviation Authority has announced that the Ibadan airport will be shut down for 6 months for maintenance and upgrade works to take place. The NCAA publicist Michael Achemugu made this known on Friday via his X handle. In his tweet, Achemugu said, subject to new information, Ibadan Airport may be shut down for 6 months for maintenance and upgrades starting from early March. This announcement is coming barely 8 months after the state got the approval of President Bola Tinubu to improve the airport to an international status. In June, President Bola Tinubu approved the move to upgrade the Ibadan domestic airport, Alakia, to an international airport. This development was made known by the Oyo State Governor Sheyi Makinde in Ibadan. Makinde explained that upon completion of the airport's upgrade, which will include the expansion and extension of the runway and a general upgrade of the facilities, the state will begin to receive international flights from anywhere in the world into Ibadan. Also in January 2025, the governor stated that the construction of the new international terminal as part of efforts to upgrade the facility to international standards. These developments follows the groundbreaking ceremony held on September 18, 2024 for the first phase of the project. Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in Sokoto has pledged to enhance its operational strategy through a more coordinated approach with other security agencies to sustain the fight against banditry and other criminal threats in the state. The state commandant, Osman Ushak Alfa Darai, made this commitment on Friday during the 2025 Intersecurity for the Population. Afadarai emphasized the NSCDC's readiness to work closely with relevant security agencies to provide effective security across the state, with a particular focus on protecting schools and critical institutions. He reiterated the agency's commitments to deepening its mandates of ensuring public safety and security. He noted that the rising insecurity and threats, though being inadequately tamed, has necessitated the agency's build-up to squaring the trend. Afadarai, the Zaria-born commandant with the expanded experience, disclosed that his command had widened its scope of operations to introducing mining marshals with a view to brace against illegal activities of miners in the state. Devastating fire has claimed at least 2 lives and left several others injured at the Mandalari internally displaced persons camp in Gonduka, Borno State. The Ifano also displaced families who had already lost their homes due to insurgency. According to Zagazola Makama, the fire broke out at makeshift shelters and personal belongings. Security personnel, including troops stationed in Gonduga, swiftly responded to the scene, working alongside emergency responders and local community members to control the fire. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has pledged his administration's commitment to fostering security and the pledge during the opening of the State Security Council meeting behind closed doors at the Executive Chamber of the Government House, Bauchi. The governor expressed his concern on the rising issues of security among border communities with neighboring states, which he attributed to the mass migration from the neighboring states posed with security threats. He commended the sacrifice of security heads in the state, which according to him has been instrumental to the peaceful atmosphere being enjoyed across the state. The governor also applauded the traditional institutions for their contributions to the security and well-being of the state's indigents and solicited more support. ATA reports that for the first time, the state security meeting was attended by the 6 emirs of Bauchi, Katagum, Mizau, Jamare, Ningi, and Das alongside the state security heads. General Assembly of Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria has adopted the suggestions that broadcast stations should explore and embrace the potentials offered by the constant evolution of technology related to broadcasting. These suggestions, which include constant training on ICT, were made by the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Kashere, Gombe State, Professor Umar Pase, as contained in a paper titled Broadcasting Media in the Era of Economic Downturn, The Way Forward, which he delivered at the 80th General Assembly. According to the communique issued at the 80th Assembly of the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, held on 25th February 2025 at the Army Command Guest House, Bauchi, Bauchi State, the General Assembly also called on the federal government to come up with policies that are capable of Amalebo-oriented projects. 6th Brigade of the Nigerian Army has announced the recovery of no fewer than 1,913 weapons across its operational areas over the past year. The disclosure was made at the brigade headquarters in Jalingo, the state capital, during the visit of Major General Eyitayo Folusho Oyinlola, the general officer commanding the 3rd Division and commander of Operation Safe Haven. Brigade Commander Brigadier General Kingsley Owa, speaking through the brigade spokesperson Captain Oni Olubodunde, provided a breakdown of the recovered arms. The recoveries as listed out by him include 34 AK-47 rifles, 5 locally fabricated pistols, 6 pump-action shotguns, 1 locally made gun, 1 Browning gun, and a rocket-propelled grenade launcher. Other seized weapons include 5 locally fabricated submachine guns, 15 single-barrel guns, 1 double-barrel gun, 1 PKMG, a locally fabricated AK-47 rifle, a locally made revolver. Praised the troops for their commitment and urged them to intensify operations against criminal elements in the state. He also reaffirmed the military's commitment to restoring peace in Taraba and tackling security threats such as banditry, kidnapping, among other vices. Jigawa State High Court number 4, presided over by Justice Ahmed Abubakar, has sentenced 2 convicts, Hamimu Awalu and Ashiru Salisu, to death by hanging for culpable homicide. The convicts, residents of Sabalari village in Duse local government area, were found guilty of conspiracy, deceitful abduction for ransom, and culpable homicide. The court's decision came on Friday after a thorough examination of the evidence presented by the prosecution, which included testimony from 4 witnesses. The defense, on the other hand, presented 2 witnesses. Justice Abubakar said while delivering the judgment that the convicts were accused of causing the death of Tahir Adamu Hassan on April 4, 2024 at Sabalari village. However, for the adoption and homicide charges, the judge delivered that the convicts were sentenced to death by hanging. The court also acknowledged that these convicts had shown remorse for their actions, but emphasized that the law must take its course. While shedding more light on the judgment, the Director of Publicity and Protocol of Jigawa State Judiciary, Mr. Abbas Wangara, said that the trial judge found the convicts guilty of conspiracy and abduction punishable under Section 96 and 97 of the Penal Code Law Cap P3 laws of Jigawa State 2012. According to Mr. Wangara, the court's decision is a testament to the commitment to upholding the rule of law and ensuring justice for victims and their families. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We will be back after this break. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. And now on to the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu Ahmed has signed the 2025 budgetary appropriation bill into law. The National Assembly had passed a total of 54.99 trillion naira for the 2025 fiscal year. The budget, initially 49.7 trillion naira, was raised to 54.2 trillion naira by the legislature after President Bola Tinubu applied for the increase. The budget breakdown shows that 3.645 trillion naira was earmarked for statutory transfers, 14.317 trillion naira for debt servicing, while 13.64 trillion naira and 23.963 trillion naira were set aside for recurrent expenditure and capital expenditure development fund, respectively. The document also shows that 14.317 trillion naira is set aside for debt servicing, reflecting Nigeria's fiscal obligations, while recurrent expenditure covering salaries, overheads, and government operations amounts to 13.64 trillion naira. President Bola Tinubu has expressed deep sorrow over the passing of veteran broadcaster Anike Agbaje Williams, describing her as a trailblazer in the Nigerian and African broadcast industry. Agbaje Williams, renowned as the first African to appear on television, passed away on Wednesday, February 26 in Ibadan at the age of 88, according to her family. In a condolence message signed by the Special Advisor to the President in Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanoga, on Friday, Tinubu extended his sympathies to her immediate family, professional colleagues, and the entire broadcast media industry. He acknowledged her pioneering contributions, which helped shape Nigeria's media landscape. Agbaje Williams made history in 1959 when she became the first face to appear on Africa's first television station, Western Nigerian Television. She was also the first voice heard on Africa's first commercial radio station, Western Nigeria Broadcasting Service. The veteran broadcaster, who was born on October 23, 1936, retired from active service in 1986, but remained a source of inspiration to many in the industry. Tinubu commended her professionalism and impact, noting that her legacy would continue to inspire generations of media practitioners. Senator representing Kogi Central Natasha Akpoti Ogwagan has accused the Senate President Godswill Akpabio of sexual harassment. Akpoti Ogwagan made the allegation during an interview on Friday. She alleged that Akpabio blocks her motions from being heard on the floor of the Senate because she rejected his advances. The Kogi lawmaker added that by rejecting Akpabio's sexual advances, she was subjected to persistent harassment and malignment in his home in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, and his office. Speaking further, Akpoti Ogwagan said some senators had warned her to adhere to the seat change because it was a trap. This comes amid a long-standing dispute between the two senators, which initially stemmed from a controversy over her seat in the Senate chamber. Earlier, Akpoti Ogwagan had filed a 100 billion naira defamation lawsuit against Akpabio and one of his aides over alleged derogatory remarks made about her. Tissues of lies. Okologbo stated that the Kogi lawmaker is angry because she was removed as the chairman of the Senate Committee on Local Content. Speaker of the House of Representatives Abbas Tajuddin has reaffirmed the commitment of the 10th National Assembly to enact strong legislative measures to protect and empower women in politics. Honorable Abbas Tajuddin gave the assurance at the Nigerian Women Leadership and Empowerment Conference in Abuja. Speaker Abbas stressed the importance of gender-inclusive governance and policies that ensure equal representation for women in political and economic spheres. He highlighted that despite constitutional guarantees of gender equality, Nigerian women continue to face discrimination, underrepresentation, and socio-economic challenges that hinder their full participation in leadership roles. The Speaker noted that the House of Representatives has introduced a legislative agenda prioritizing women's political participation and economic empowerment. The Speaker also disclosed that the ruling All Progressives Congress has been urged to incorporate women into its National Executive Committee, leading to the appointment of 4 women to NEC positions. Need for special seats for women in legislative houses and mandatory gender quotas within political parties to increase women's representation in governance. He further reiterated the House's dedication to enforcing the national gender policy, supporting electoral reforms that promote female candidates, and amending the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act to enhance women's rights. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, in her remarks at the conference, said Nigerian women are breaking barriers and making impacts in various sectors of the society. The First Lady, who was represented by wife of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Hajia Fatima Abbas, however, emphasized the need for women inclusion and empowerment, emphasizing that there is a need to address structural challenges that keep women in poverty. Earlier in her opening remarks, the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development, Honorable Kafilat Ogbara, described the Nigerian women leadership and empowerment screen and environments where they can thrive, lead, and inspire. Highlight of the conference was the launch of the National Compendium of Women in Leadership Positions, which documents the achievement of women who have broken through barriers and contributed to various sectors. The conference, which has the theme Investing in Nigerian Women, Securing Our Future, brought together policymakers, civil society groups, and development partners to deliberate on strategies for enhancing women's leadership and participation in national development. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has criticized President Bola Tinubu for his silence on the ongoing crisis in the Lagos State House of Assembly, calling it a tacit endorsement of anti-democratic tactics. In a statement issued by his media aide Paul Ibe, Atiku condemned what he described as backdoor tactics and the use of state-backed security forces to reverse the removal of former Speaker Mudashiru Obasa, despite his ousting by most lawmakers. Members of the chamber, Atiku argued that Tinubu's refusal to intervene raises concerns about his commitments to democratic principles, especially in light of recent allegations by former Kaduna State Governor Nasser El-Rufai that Tinubu engages in selective political control. He further accused Tinubu of turning Lagos politics into a battle between the noble values of Omoluabi, rooted in integrity, fairness, and public service, and the crude, strong-arm tactics of area boy politics, where power is retained through coercion rather than consensus. Atiku called on the president to publicly denounce any attempts to undermine democracy in Lagos and to ensure that due process is upheld. And now, business news. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we head straight into the business news. Do stay tuned.
Aha! Is there a
bro, I dey tell you, this match 3-0.
Okay.
If I win you, something will come out.
Don't play with me. Fast ball, fast ball. Ah, you know what? You go shot
Bro.
me. Now we got this man.
Keep the banter going with Glow Borrow Me Credit or Data. Dial star 303 hash to borrow airtime or data and pay later.
Is it ready?
Only one king at 3.
Okay.
Power your relentless ambition with ultra high speed data. Glow Unlimited.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Chairman, Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, has emphasized that the inheritance tax would not be reintroduced in the new tax bills before Parliament for consideration. Oyedele was reacting to submissions that inheritance tax had been reintroduced during a hearing on the 4 tax reform bills. He emphasized that income and inheritance are different, with inheritance referring to assets, wealth, and cash, while income is derived from external earnings. The chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zach Adedeji, also spoke at the hearing, criticizing investors in free zones who attempt to move their products into custom areas which operate under a different tax regime. He maintained that the government would not allow tax evasion strategies that create economic distortions. The president of MAN, Otumba Francis Meshoye, expressed concern that the tax bill excludes waivers on profits from manufactured exports. He highlighted that from 2019 to 2023, the value of manufactured exports dropped from $6.7 billion to $1.6 billion, partly due to insufficient incentives. MAN also opposed unrestricted access of products into export-free zones, arguing that no country except Nigeria allows 100% free access. They recommended limiting it to 25%, similar to Ghana's 30% threshold. According to him, the oil producers trade section of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce said that if the tax bills are passed as currently drafted, some of the VAT gains for the oil and gas sector will be lost, especially when it concerns petroleum profit tax. He said the incentives for oil production should be codified under the proposed tax reform, adding that of Section 87 of the bill is allowed, stabilization fund will not be available for companies currently captured under the Petroleum Industry Act, adding that in such situation, when anything happens, they will be on their own. He urged lawmakers to ensure that the bills do not increase the cost of doing business, cautioning that excessive taxation could push investors to other countries.
Have contributed, they have put their money down based on the law. You change the law on 1 week notice. That is unfair, and the people will end up in litigation. So I'm not issuing a threat, I'm just appealing that we should have more engagement with them. Let us have something that works for all of us.
So the Atlantic that you made the example of, they don't need to export sand. They just need to stay within their zone and they'll be exempted. When they export, they'll be exempted. There is no law today, not the NEPSA Act, not the Oil and Gas Act, no other law that says when you bring it to the custom territory, you can sell without paying taxes. And there's no country where they're doing that.
One of our concerns could be found on second schedule of Section 60 of the Nigeria tax bills. Briefly, the provision of the tax bill on the free trade zone should be upheld as it offers clarity and aligns with the intent and letters of the enabling laws. We believe that it does not in any way jeopardize the incentives offered to the operators within the zone.
Federal government has set a target of increasing Nigeria's gross domestic product by $100 billion through strategic investments in the creative industries. The Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy, Hananatu Musa Musawa, disclosed this during a brief press briefing in Lagos, emphasizing the administration's commitment to leveraging the sector's vast potential. Musawa reviewed that the government is actively working with the private sector to develop critical infrastructure, foster intellectual property monetization, and create an enabling environment for creatives to thrive. According to the minister, the government has studied the creative economies of countries like South Korea, Brazil, South Africa, and Japan, and identifying key policies and infrastructure investments that have driven their growth. She noted that Nigeria has the talent and market size necessary to replicate similar success. Musawa also reviewed the federal government's efforts to build entertainment and cultural arenas across the country, starting with Lagos and Abuja. These projects, she explained, are being developed in partnership with the private sector, ensuring sustainable funding and efficient execution. The minister reaffirmed that the Creative City project, aimed at building a dedicated ecosystem for Nigeria's creative talents, has commenced and is expected to be fully delivered within 5 years. Phone and Allied Products Dealers Association of Nigeria on Friday urged the government to encourage local manufacturing of telecommunications and mobile devices for a stable economy. The PAP-DAN president, Mr. Ifeanyi Akubwe, said in an interview with the Newsman that the local manufacturing would reduce dependence on imported goods. Akubwe said that it would also crush the demand for dollar at caution the effect of its fluctuation. He said that about 5 years ago, the last administration introduced local manufacturing of mobile devices, which was warmly welcomed by Nigerians because it will reduce over-dependence on importation. According to him, nothing was heard of it again, thereby encouraging demand for the dollar, which is a major challenge faced by businesses in Nigeria. Akubue said that the local manufacturing was advantageous because it would encourage efficient supply chain for businesses as well as create job opportunities. He appealed to the government to find a solution to the dollar fluctuations, stressing that it was affecting not only businesses but also the economy as a whole. Akubue said that there were plans to provide loans to its members to help them cope with the challenges posed by the dollar fluctuations and stay afloat. You're still watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Up next is International Tidbits. Russia on Friday said it had suggested restoring direct air links with the United States at what it described as a substantive and business-like talks in Turkey. Russia's foreign ministry, however, did not say how the US side had responded at Thursday's meeting in Istanbul, but shared in Russian airline Aeroflots that were up 3.8% after the news. It was gathered that many Western countries halted air links with Russia in 2022 due to sanctions aimed at punishing it for the war in Ukraine. Restoring flights to and from the US would be the most tangible economic result so far from a growing rapprochement between President Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. The 6 hours of talks between senior diplomats in Istanbul came after Trump-Putin phone call on February 12th and a high-level meeting in Saudi Arabia on February 18th. According to the two sides, they want to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine and discuss the possibility of major business deals, but are focusing first on improving bilateral ties. Recall that Putin on Thursday said that initial contacts with the Trump administration gave grounds for hope and warned Western elites not to sabotage them. According to the Russian Foreign Ministry in Istanbul, the sides discussed ways to overcome numerous irritants inherited from the previous U.S. administration. Efforts of the President Donald Trump of the United States to curb automatic birthright citizenship nationwide as part of his hardline immigration crackdown suffered another legal setback on Friday. This was when a second federal appeals court declined to lift one of the court orders blocking the Republicans' executive order. The Richmond, Virginia-based 4th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rejected the Trump administration's request for an order putting on hold a nationwide injunction issued by a federal judge in Maryland who concluded the order was unconstitutional. According to the court, the public interest was served by leaving the injunction in place, saying it would be hard to overstate the confusion and upheaval that would result from implementing Trump's order. This was the second time an appellate court had taken up Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship, whose fate may ultimately be decided by the U.S. Supreme Court. Recall that another appeals court last week declined to lift a similar injunction issued by a judge in Seattle. Other judges in Massachusetts and New Hampshire have likewise enjoined the order, finding it violates the U.S. Constitution. No fewer than 41 people are still trapped following an avalanche in the Indian Himalayan mountainside of Uttarakhand, I beg your pardon, after recent heavy snowfall in the region. Authorities said that the avalanche occurred near a highway in the state's Chamoli region, adjoining Tibet and less than 5 kilometers from the popular Hindu temple of Badrinath, which was visited by hundreds of thousands of devotees every year. It had earlier been reported that people were trapped after a glacier burst before authorities confirmed it was an avalanche. According to Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami, those trapped under the snow were construction workers for the Federal Border Roads Organization, stating that 16 people have so far been rescued. ATN reports that Uttarakhand, which is located in the high altitude Himalaya range, is increasingly prone to flash floods and landslides due to rising global temperatures. And here now is ATN Sports News. Manchester United are reportedly considering a swap deal from Napoli striker Victor Osimhen. The Red Devils are willing to offer 40 million euros plus striker Rasmus Højlund for the Nigerian international Osimhen, who joined Turkish Super League champions Galatasaray on loan last September, will return to Napoli at the end of the season. The 26-year-old will be available for 75 million euros this summer. According to calciummercato.com, United are currently unwilling to match Osimhen's transfer few, but they are preparing an offer worth 40 million euros plus ex-Atlanta stand Højlund. The forward has been in fantastic form for Napoli this season, netting 20 goals and providing 5 assists in 25 appearances. Nigerian football legend J.J. Okocha has criticized former Liverpool defender Jamie Carragher over his remarks regarding the Africa Cup of Nations, suggesting that the Englishman does not appreciate African football. Okocha, speaking in an interview circulating X on Friday, said there are some players that will say something, you just overlook it. Adding that if you look at their career and the type of football that they played, you can understand Carragher can never appreciate African football or the talents that come from Africa. His comments follow a wave of backlash against Carragher, who had questioned the significance of AFCON as a major tournament during the Sky Sports post-match discussion on Sunday, February 23. The conversation, which included former England internationals Micah Richards, Daniel Sturridge, Roy Keane and Carragher himself, revolved around Mohamed Salah's chances of winning the 2025 Ballon d'Or. Carragher had suggested that Salah's inability to win major tournaments could hinder his chances of claiming the award, despite the Egyptian star finishing as African runner-up in 2017 and 2021. However, his comments were swiftly challenged by Richards and Sturridge, who reminded him of AFCON's importance. The remarks sparked outrage on social media, with many accusing Carragher of disregarding Africa's premier football competition. Heartland technical advisor Emmanuel Amuneke has reiterated his plans for the team in the Nigeria Premier League Football League (NPFL) this season. Amuneke stated that his target is to stabilize the club. The Naze Millionaires have registered 8 wins, 9 draws, and 9 defeats in the NPFL this season. Heartland currently occupies 13th position on the NPFL table with 3 points from 26 games. The Naze Millionaires were held to a goalless draw by El Kanemi Warriors in the Matchday 26 fixture at the Dan Ayam Stadium on Wednesday. Heartland will lock horns with Ikorodu City in their next league game on Sunday. Pep Guardiola says his veteran Manchester City stars still have a key role to play in the club's rebuild as it seeks to reclaim past glories after a difficult season. City have only the FA Cup left to compete for in terms of silverware, following the collapse of their Premier League title defense and their Champions League defeat by Real Madrid. Guardiola's team will host second-tier Plymouth in the 5th round on Saturday. The club has been criticized for not renewing an aging squad more quickly, despite winning 6 of the past 7 Premier League titles. City made 4 signings in the January transfer window: Omar Mamosh, Abdulkadir Kosanov, Nico Gonzalez and Victor Reis, highlighting the scale of the rebuild required following injuries and a deep in form for key players. However, speaking at his pre-match press conference on Friday, Guardiola insisted that his experienced players would still play an important role next season. Guardiola, whose team are aiming to reach the FA Cup final for a 3rd consecutive season, is refusing to take Plymouth lightly. UEFA has taken the decision to ban English referee David Kute until June 30, 2026. European football's governing body confirmed this on Friday. Last December, Kute was fired by English football's refereeing body after a video clip of him making offensive comments about former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp surfaced on social media. UEFA had also launched an investigation into Kute after another video appearing to show him snorting white powder allegedly during Euro 2024 was leaked. In the latest decisions published by UEFA's Control, Ethics and Disciplinary Body, it confirmed that Kute was banned from any UEFA refereeing activity. The official has been suspended for violating the basic rules of decent conduct and bringing the sport of football and UEFA in particular into disrepute. And now, entertainment news. Port Harcourt music icon under the label Event and Culture MG Empire Entertainment, Food and Fashion, High Chief Muma G has revealed plans to release a new single titled Shine on the 9th of March 2025. Speaking ahead of the release of the inspirational songs Shine, the title chief from Ahoda East local government area in Rivers State used the song to inspire this generation and next to be motivated and always believe in themselves to achieve greater heights.
Of the state act of the song inspired by nature and for the inspiration of people. Endearing people to love themselves, endearing people to take good care of themselves, endearing people to dream big. And so the concert, we decided to use a very concise venue, deliberately and strategically, reasons best known to my team, because this is the first. The venue for this show is Villa Toscana, which is here where we are situated right now. The date is on the 9th of March, 2025. The red carpet would be kick-starting from about 4 p.m. And we have just, I would have said we have 1 hour on the red carpet, but that would be selfish of us. So we just give, in lieu of everybody coming in, moving at the same time from their home, I would like us to do 2 hours on the red carpet, which is from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And from 6 p.m. it's going to be banging all the way. Now, I'm not just going to release Shine like we come and like...
The lyrical magician who gave a hint intro of the song Shine stated that her past did not let her down, but believed that her return to the music world after taking a long break from music is to change the narrative in the music community and to motivate the world.
Now, on the side of being a law student, what prompted that is the fact that I know lawyers, people have the symptoms and impressions about them. You can see how I look, but tomorrow when you see me on my black and white, what I mean tomorrow, it's Saturday tomorrow, you're going to see me in church because I'm a secretariat and an Adventist. In spite of all of this, God should judge me, not the church. And the day I get judged in the church, I'm going to kill about 6. Yeah, I worship God in my bedroom. That's why I go to my church. As a high chief, I have this song. And then I know all of you will be wondering, some persons from beginning will be saying, we will arrest, we will charm her, we will do it. No, I'm a bona child of a fair land. And I'm ordained high chief of a fair land. My title is, thank you. My title is the only one of a fair kingdom. Only one of a fair local. Nothing do us, no matter what. We are Africans, no matter what. We must respect tradition, no matter what. So as a custodian of tradition, of my tradition, of the Efe tradition, an ambassador of Ojab in the village, Ahoda East, River State, to the world.
Controversial social media critic Barry Darkman has called out the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over an alleged plan to arrest him. Barry Darkman, in a video shared on his Instagram page, alleged that the commission is planning to frame him up for also speaking against its chairman Olanipekun Olukoyede. While accusing the commission of trying every possible means to plot his arrest, he mentioned that one big prominent lawyer alongside the social media influencer visited the EFCC office to provide them with clips and a picture of him spraying money. The alleged evidence includes a video of him spraying money at an event, an act that could be interpreted as naira abuse, which is illegal in Nigeria. VDM further claimed that an EFCC official confirmed that he have sparked widespread reactions online, with supporters of VDM calling for transparency, while others urged him to tread carefully. Grammy-winning singer Damini Ogulu, aka Burna Boy, has responded to socialite Sophia Egboje's allegation that he reneged on his promise after allegedly sleeping with her. In a viral leaked audio recording between her and her friend, Sophia accused Burna Boy of having a one-night stand with her and failing to fulfill his promise of buying her a Lamborghini. The leaked audio elicited mixed reactions in the Nigerian social media space. Reacting in a freestyle video shared via his Instagram story Friday afternoon, Burna Boy slammed Sophia for losing her cool over his failure to buy her a Lamborghini. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Supreme Court delivers judgment on Rivers State political crisis. Senator Natasha accuses Akpabio of sexual harassment. Tinubu signs 2025 budget into law. Federal government targets $100 billion GDP boost from creative industries growth. Russia offers to restore direct air links with US. Manchester United plots swap deal for Osimhen, and Very Dark Man accuses EFCC of plotting his arrest. I am Fable Chikwesri Michael. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on all our social media platforms on Twitter at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Tele.